Hello, dear partners. My name is Alexey Maslov, and I'm glad to be here with you today for a webinar on MES, ESR, and Video Surveillance solutions. I'm a product manager for these three lines of equipment at Eltex, and hopefully you're enjoying your last weeks of summer, and I'm glad you decided to spend from half an hour to an hour with me on this webinar. I'm going to go through these three lineups of Eltex equipment, and then we'll have a short Q&A section at the end of this presentation. So let me start, and from get-go, we'll go to manage Ethernet switches, what we know as MES. So MES equipment at Eltex, we can basically split into three categories. I decided to do this following the operating systems that equipment is run on. So historically, we would have two different architectures. The one is running on ISS operating system, and the one is known as ROS4. So the difference between the two is rather technical, and the main thing I'd say that ROS4 operating system would offer the architecture that this operating system and equipment is run on offers stacking on the hardware level, and it used to be the case, and I'll explain why a little bit later, but basically ISS is everything to do with MES 24, 34 and 37 series, and ROS4 would be 23, 33 is the access, and MES 35 is the industrial switches. And then at some point, a few years ago, we would develop the new version of the operating system, ROS6, and rather than upgrading existing MES switches, we decided to introduce the new line of equipment with this operating system on board, and we also changed the naming. So right now we have three different operating systems. I hope it's not too confusing. And with the ROS6, you can tell that it's the that ROS6 version based on the naming. So the naming had changed from, say, we had MES 2348P, and it had become is now known as MES 2300-48P. So we moved the number of physical interfaces after the dash to the right part of the name of the device. So we'll start with the IIS operating system, and the main thing and the main focus for the last, I'd say, more than a year was implementing stacking. You notice I said it used to be the case when we didn't have this, but it's now had been added to the lineup of equipment. The announcement for this was on the website about a week ago, so you can go to the news section of the website and read a little bit more about this, but basically it's a similar approach that we had with the ROS4 and ROS6, when you can connect up to 8 devices and put them into a logical connection, 8 physical devices into one logical device, and you need to do the firmware upgrade in order to make it possible on the IIS operating system. So we are planning adding new stacking features for the next few versions of the IIS operating system, and the first one in the second quarter, it's actually available already, and it has a bunch of protocols and features added. So worth mentioning would be OSPF and RPVST plus protocols. The RSDPV plus, RVST plus is rapid per VLAN spanning tree plus protocol. And also aggregating of stack ports into a stack lag is also a feature that you may find useful, basically offering the same thing, combining physical interfaces into one logical interface. In the third quarter, we also are planning to add further stacking improvement. Dying gasp would be one of them. It is a feature that allows to notify a master about when one of the devices in the stack is about to go offline for reboot or for whatever reason. It basically notifies the master so they can share the load accordingly. VLAN translation, port rate limiting is also one of the features I'd like to mention. It's a QoS type of feature, quality of service, that basically caps the amount of traffic a switch port would send or receive. So it's basically limiting this amount of ingress or egress traffic. Moving on to the ROS4 operating system, and here I would like to do a bit of a explanation as to where we're heading with this. So we still have a significant amount of devices listed on the website, and we are not deprecating and we are not dropping this product line. On this map, you can see that we are planning releasing from 1 to 2 major versions of ROS4 for the next few years, and only from the 2028 onwards we are planning to change this to patches only approach. So we're not planning to introduce any significant features as of yet, but minor updates and bug fixes you can definitely count on, and the nearest release is planned at the end of this year. It's going to be version 4.0.26 at the very end of the December this year. So this is briefly what we are doing with ROS4, and the further significant improvement, and actually most of the improvement would go into ROS6 operating system. The second quarter, I'd say the main thing that we had put most of the resource was non-stop forwarding on the second level, and it also has to do with stacking, and it actually involves all the stackable models. The implementation started quite a while ago at the beginning of 2025, and the stabilization phase was during this quarter, and basically the main idea of this feature is that during the reboot or crash of a control plane, the data plane of the switch remains active and keeps on switching traffic using the last known MAC tables and ACL saved in the memory, and basically it helps to achieve high availability, minimizing this downtime before the device reboots and becomes active and gets back into stack again. This functionality is going to be available for testing in version 6.0 6.6.8.8, and this is only for early adopters. If you would like to hold off a little bit until it's stabilized and publicly available, please wait until 6.6.9 version. Another significant goal for the second quarter was PFC, priority-based flow control. It is part of the data center functionality, and basically it is a way for the switch to avoid traffic congestions. And when traffic congestion is detected and it's about to disrupt the traffic flow, this technology would send what we call a pulse frame to identify, to basically notify that there is a traffic congestion. Please don't stop sending traffic. And with the priority flow control, it basically means that different types of traffic have different priorities, and we can keep on sending important types of traffic, such as VoIP or different types of streams, and pause less important types of traffic. So this all configurable, and this is something you may find useful for VoIP and other high priority types of traffic in your data center. Another thing that has to do with the hardware is our plans on extending our industrial switches lineup. There are two models that we brought up during the second quarter. You may notice that they both have S letter in the name, basically referring to SYNC-E, synchronous Ethernet technology. And this is the one, both these switches, by the way, are industrial switches, and SYNC-E, synchronous Ethernet, feature providing highly accurate network timing. And this may be essential for applications requiring precise time synchronization. These devices are in the early stage of development. Right now, as I said, we only brought them up, but the plans on them quite extensive. So if you have a project that require this type of equipment, please keep them in mind and expect them towards the beginning of the next year. Another thing worth mentioning with the ROS operating system, that ROS 4 and ROS 6, for the last few years, we had them developed in parallel, side by side. So some of the equipment had ROS 4 on board, some of the equipment would ship with ROS 6, and because some of the customers, some of the partners would use ROS 4, we would add some features requested by those customers. And now we decided to port some of the ROS 4 functionality into the ROS 6. So what we're doing is basically we are cherry picking some of the pieces of functionality and that we find useful for our partners, and we move them to ROS 6. So this is an ongoing process. We are planning to do this for the next few releases, and with the release that is available right now of ROS 6, we have about 18 tasks ported from ROS 4. If you ask me, the most important ones are listed on this slide. I would mention that we now support stacking between same model but different configuration of ports, similar what we had with MES 2324P and MES 2348P on ROS 4. So it's the same model essentially, but different number of physical ports. Exactly the same pattern is followed by MES 230024P and 48P. they are basically stackable, even though it is not exactly the same model. For the third quarter, that we are actually at the very middle of which right now, we have quite a few things to cover. The most important would be MPLS L3 VPN. This is another feature that taking quite significant resources to implement. It is a service provider grade of feature, and it's basically designed to create MPLS tunnels and do the data transmission via these tunnels. It is still in development, and it's scheduled to be released in version 6.6.10. So it's next quarter of 2025. I already mentioned non-stop forwarding L2, and after the stabilization and release in version 6.6.9, we are planning to start implementing NSF L3, which is basically similar concept, but the data transmission is going to be obviously on the level 3, based on not on frames, but based on packets, based on ACL tables saved in the control plane of the device. Data center functionality, the PFC stabilization is ongoing and due to be released at the end of the quarter. The protocols for seamless redundancy, HSR and PRP, is something we are working on at the moment. We started in July, and these pieces of functionality is scheduled for the ES series of switches that I already mentioned, that are to be released in 2026, and the and more functionality is planned to be ported from ROS 4 to ROS 6. There are about 13 tasks. They all of medium importance, but you may find of this suitable for your needs. If you are in the situation that you see some of the functionality available in the older models that had not yet made its way to the newer ROS 6 operating system, please let us know, and we may be able to prioritize porting on that functionality in the new operating system. As for hardware for the third quarter, there are a few pieces of equipment we are planning on testing. I already mentioned this industrial switches of the 35 series, and there is also MES 2310 48DP. It's a PoE switch of the 23rd series of ROS 6 in the testing stage. There is a new switch, MES 3500i8PAF. You can tell that by its name that it has 8 fiber and 8 PoE Ethernet physical ports on the same device, and it is just had been released for testing, so it's in the early stages of development. And there are 2 more data center devices, MES 53 and MES 570032, that are just being brought up, and we are working on towards making them available in the around second quarter of 2026. As far as ISS goes, there are testing samples available for MES 242020D-24DP. It's a PoE switch, which is a multi-gigabit one. We usually recommend those for our access points for the Wi-Fi access within the organization, and it is exactly what serves this 2.5 gigabit PoE ports on the device. It is very suitable for connecting Eltex access points. So again, it is in test sample stage. If you have any questions regarding Ethernet switches, please leave them in the comments. I'll try to cover them at the end of this presentation. And we're going to move on to ESR equipment. So ESR equipment is Ethernet service routers. It's a little bit more straightforward in terms of operating system, because it is the same operating system covering all the lineup of this equipment. You don't need to basically make sure that you have the right type of it, because it's only one for all the devices. There is a version 137 that is scheduled to be released at the end of September this year, and the next version after this that we're going to cover is going to be 140 in the next quarter. So you'll see most of the feature going to be released in either 37 or 40 version. I'm going to refer to them as 37 and 40. So first thing I'd like to cover is clustering. It is quite important, and again, a lot of resource was put into this work. We are with clustering, we are aiming at the beginning of this year have a to be able to offer a VRRP based cluster of 4 devices, basically following pattern 2+2, 2 active and 2 standby devices, but we are doing this gradually. We've been doing it in stages, and the first stage that we're going to introduce in version 37 was to have 1 active and 2 standby units. Again, it's based on VRRP. We had this functionality for quite a while now, but we are extending the ways we can configure it, and we can synchronize configuration between the units. So some of our customers requested this type of cluster when you'd have 1 active and 2 units on standby, always willing to replace the active unit should it go down. And right now with the version 137 you'll be able to do this as 1+2, and with the version 1.40 you'll be able to do this on the 2.1 mode, having 2 active units and 1 standby. That's probably a little bit more useful, a little bit more widespread approach, and it's also VRRP based, and this is the second step, and further on we are planning to extend this to 4 units. So please keep on, if you need this functionality, keep on listening. We'll planning to implement this at the beginning of next year. Some of the security updates, they are to do with firewall and features like IPsec and GeoIP. You can see on this slide. So IPsec, the changes mostly to do with the certification authority and reissuing certificates. This mostly internal. These changes are basically allowing us to they not be visible to the end user, but these architectural changes will allow us to do to introduce some of the features in the future. And even though they're not noticeable, there is significant work goes into IPsec and changing the work, changing the way we reissue certificates with configuration authority. GeoIP is the feature that allows you to filter traffic based on the origin, on the geographical origin of the IP address. Fail to ban. It is an important feature that allows you to analyze logs and block suspicious IP addresses. And another firewall feature is applying rules by schedule. Some of our customers wanted this to basically restrict the access for, say, their employees based on schedule, so they focused on work and not use network for other purposes. DMVPN is something on the list, but not yet something we can offer to our customer. It is on the architectural redesign stage. HTTPS proxies to do with the new generation firewall. It's another thing that's mostly architectural, but you may see some improvements in the future version as far as performance goes. Certificates wise, I already mentioned certification authority, and the changes we are making will allow operating certification authorities in trust point mode, and allows which would allow to generate self-signed certificates in the background. So it makes it easier for administrators to operate with certificates, and it's following the same pattern that Cisco handles this. It's going to be released in version 1.40, and some of the details on changes for this process will certainly be reflected in the documentation. As far as routing goes, the changes here are quite significant. If you've been using our switches, the multicast functionality such as PIM-SM and IGMP may be well known to you, but we haven't had this in our service routers. We're now changing this and introducing both of these multicast features. So they're both brand new. They are present in our switches, and now they are about to be present in our service routers. So PIM-SM is protocol independent multicast sparse mode. It's used in multicast when there are, as opposed to dense mode, when most of the hosts on the network would be listening to multicast and would subscribe to this type of traffic. Sparse mode suggests that there are only certain sparsely distributed hosts that consume the traffic, and this feature optimizes the way the traffic is routed towards these hosts. So again, it's a multicast feature, basically significantly improving the minimizing the load on the broadband and improving the performance of traffic routing. iGMP is another thing to do with multicast. We are supporting iGMP v3 protocol, and it's a mechanism to allow hosts to subscribe for multicast streams. And it also helps to avoid waste of bandwidth. In the version 1.40, you may count on having both of these features available. That's about it what we have for service routers, and the third part of this webinar is video surveillance. This is also something that I'm in charge for at this point. This is something, video surveillance in general with IP cameras, and our software solution is, I'd say, a new piece of equipment at Eltex. I brought with me this little IP camera. I'd like to emphasize that we are having not only IP cameras but also B2C video surveillance for smart home. It is not something I'm doing. I'm focused on the IP cameras, but this is an example of the models we have in our product line. There are not many of them, but these are the most popular form factors. You may see these similar models where you live on a daily basis, but I would suggest you get one of these or a few of these for testing, just to see for yourself what's the build quality like, because this is metal casing as opposed to cheaper cameras that have plastic casing, and the overall build quality is fantastic on these devices. So even though this is fairly new for us, we already cover most probably most used models, and you're welcome to try these hardware products. For the software, Eltex is not only a hardware company, we also develop software, and this is approach we also chose to go with video surveillance. And our video surveillance solution is called EVI platform or AV platform. Our most significant project at this point with EVI platform and video surveillance IP cameras is here within Eltex. We have a few different buildings, and we've been using this system for more than a year with more than 600 cameras in 3 buildings, and it's proven to be stable and very performant. So the overall approach we chose to go with EVI platform is one system of industrial sort of grade enterprise level system that combines video surveillance and access control. It is more a solution for medium and large businesses or enterprises, and it allows you to have video surveillance without using any NVRs or network video recorders. So it's fully software. It's installed on a dedicated server that allows you to operate with video streams from all your video cameras, and it allows to access the footage that's saved in the archive, footage from the cameras. And the second part, as I said, is access control, because access control goes side by side with video surveillance. You would usually have cameras recording people going in and out of the building, and vehicles going in and out of the parking lot. That's why we decided to combine this with what we call controller. There are controller devices that allows you to set up checkpoints, and this system basically does it all. Video surveillance, and allows you to control your checkpoints, configuring who of your employees have access to where. Going into more detail, from the front end point of view, we have EVI web interface. This web interface is mostly for configuring the system when you install it, when the administrator creates all the list of employees and the list of vehicles the employees have, configuring the roles for the employees, where they are allowed to go, and basically what roles they have. It's all done in the web interface of the system. On the other hand, the video client, as it comes from its name, is something that you install for the security personnel, and this is a standalone app. Right now it's for desktop computers, for Windows and Linux, and it allows to have multiple cameras displayed all on the same screen, and it also allows, if the security personnel have access to the archive, allows to access the saved footage from previous days. On the background, the system is built from different modules. There are 3 main modules, and the licensing on these modules is different based on what features you need. If you only need video surveillance, which is fair enough, not all the customers going to need access control. You only license EVI perimeter, so this is the one that handles video streams and video archive. For the access control, if you want to use access cards or magnetic dongles, locks, you would license the SCUD module, EV SCUD, which is the module that does all the things to do with access control. And for more advanced access control, if you want to get the best from facial and number plate recognition, you also can license EVI Analytics module. And this does exactly that. It is in charge of analyzing video streams and allowing certain people and certain vehicles into your premises. You can see the version 1.4 is scheduled for the end of August, and this version is the second major version from EV perimeter we had released. When it comes to the changes, we support English language for all the parts, both the web and the client interface. English documentation is also available. We are updating it as the version is released. And the backend modules, I'm going a little bit more details about this, because this is the first actual announcement in the webinar of this system. That's why I'm going to cover a little bit more details about this. The perimeter module, we had redesigned the archive, so it's a little bit more user-friendly and performant. And the analytics is something our customers from CIS countries will find useful, because we added a bunch of CIS countries in the list of number plates that can be analyzed and recognized by the system. So there are not all the countries are listed just yet. If you have project with video surveillance and your country is not in the list, please reach us, and if you have a customer waiting for this feature, we may prioritize this model of analytics to be added into the AV platform as soon as possible. I see that my figure is covering some of the countries that are in the list, but basically all these countries are CIS, but we are expecting more countries to be added in the further versions. So from the other features, all the equipment that operating that can be connected to EVI platform supports OnVIF. OnVIF is a standard for IP cameras that describe how they transfer data, settings, and video streams. So OnVIF and RTSP is supported for all the devices, so you can use third-party equipment with this system, and we are extending the support of OnVIF. With the next versions, we are planning to extend the settings that can be changed on the cameras to more advanced. We also extending the PTZ control menu. PTZ cameras, I'll remind for those who may have forgotten, PTZ cameras are the cameras that can be, they can change the orientation on the horizontal, vertical, and zoom and EVI platform. Even though we don't have PTZ cameras available just yet, we support the third-party cameras, and EVI platform you can control the cameras using visualized joystick with arrows. So this camera can be interacted with from the UI. For the next few version, we are going to work on mobile app. This is something we must have because being able to check the status on the go is a must for video surveillance. So we're working on iOS and Android apps. We are planning to release first version at the beginning of 2026. And when as far as the analytics goes, we are planning to add quite a few pieces of types of analytics. They all based on UI learning, so they're quite accurate, and partially they have to do with covering parking lots, so things like analyzing of taking an available parking spot lots is one of the features we are planning on adding. And also number plate, as I mentioned before, extension the list of countries that we support, have support for number plates. Various types of personal protective equipment is planning to be supported in the next versions, and also emergency vehicles is one of the things we are going to add. A few things we are planning to do research and development for, things mostly to do with search, so various types of search by uploading a photo, search by number plate of a vehicle in the archive, and a textual search in the archive. It's not yet, it's not set in stone so far that this is going to be implemented, but this is something we are trying. This is what R&D is about, really. And if you have project that requiring these types of functionality, please reach out, please talk to us, and we may be able to prioritize this feature accordingly, because we as a company, we listening to your feedback and acting upon feedback. If there is no need for a feature, we may decide not to implement this. Last but not least is hardware part of the IP cameras. We have two main series. Well, we actually have SVBA series available and SVBB series in development. So this series, these two have different chipsets they are built on. So this is why they have a difference in the letter BA and BB. So the BA series is much more mature. This software is already version 1.7 that is going to be released at the end of the month. And with this version, for the dome camera and for the cylindrical shaped camera, we are adding a bunch of audio codecs. This is in order to extend their compatibility with third-party NVRs. We are adding more advanced infrared lighting. This is to avoid overexposing, avoid getting an object too bright when it's getting close to the camera. And it's and also two-way audio communication is coming in fourth quarter of the year. And this is something that may be useful because one of our cameras, SVBA 301E, it is a model that has a built-in speaker, which what most competitors are lacking. And you may find this useful to implement two-way audio communication. So the security personnel may be able to remotely not only hear what the camera is hearing because of the microphone, they may be able also talk to the microphone so the camera plays the message using the speaker. So there is no need for IP speaker. This way the camera may play the message. So it's only one model so far that has this functionality, and you may mention this to your customers as a significant feature that Eltex has. We also have first unit of BA331 camera, which is a vandal-proof or tamper-proof model that we're going to test in September. And in Eurovision, we're planning, we are extending the model line of the cameras with a new sensor, 2.7 inch as opposed to 3 inch we are having now. And we are also supporting more advanced PoE mode B. With the BB series, they are only very early stages right now, but this is the equipment we are counting on because of the more advanced CPU. It's going to support true WDR. It's way more advanced video quality and wide dynamic range. Again, it's very early stages of development. So we'll keep you updated on this, and this is pretty much it to do with video surveillance, and I'm fine to go at the Q&A section. I see that the Q&A section is blank, which is surprising that either me doing a really good job explaining to you what we had achieved and planning to achieve. But yeah, please feel free to access me. All the things to do with MES, ESR, and video surveillance equipment. And another thing I would bring up is that we are planning on doing this email announcements when we have major versions of any of the operating systems and EV platform releases. So about once every 2-3 months, I'm going to do this little digest for the significant versions for the major versions, major releases of this, and you may subscribe to this to release basically this information in the easy digestible list to keep updated. So thanks again for being here, and this webinar is going to be available as a recording on YouTube. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.